Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Welcome. My name is Eileen Schumard. I'm the Executive Director here at Programs and Exhibits. We're so excited to welcome all of you to the Brooklyn Navy Yard and to Building 92. I will try to project. Can you hear me in the back? We'll do our best today with our lack of speaker. I know many of you traveled quite a distance to be here today, and I know for some of you it is an emotional return, and we intend to do our best to make the destination worth the journey for you. I'm going to be emceeing a little bit, so I would like to just first introduce the President and CEO of the Brooklyn Navy Yard, David Ehrenberg, to say a few words. David?
Thank you. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you for all of your work putting this together. So, like Eileen said, I'm David Ehrenberg. I'm president of the not-for-profit that now runs the Navy Yard. We are extraordinarily proud of our history here at the Navy Yard. It goes back more than 200 years. Building 92 and the tribute wall is how we pay respect to that history, and also importantly, how we communicate that to the public. There's a school group right behind you who will come and, among other things, learn about the extraordinary history and the extraordinary people who served here at the Yard, and something we take extraordinarily seriously. First, I'd like to thank Gayland Rushing, Phil Tabasco, and Temabasco, and Martin, who helped put this together. This is a really important day. This is also the anniversary of the closing of the Navy Yard 50 years ago this June. And so we are taking stock of our own history. And while we generally talk about the Yard as a place that people came to find employment, enter the middle class, it's also extraordinarily important and fitting that we take these moments to recognize that people made extraordinary sacrifices here at the Yard and for our country, and that's really a legacy that we need to and want to project and explain to the school children of today what happened here at the Yard. And so thank you all very much for being here. We're really thrilled that we're able to host you today, and with that, I'll hand it over. Thank you.
Sorry. So I am moved to say a couple of words first about the experience I've had over the last year working with the USS Constellation Association and with Marty and Phil. Where are you? Marty, and there's Phil. These two lovely gentlemen reached out to me and our former archivist, Dennis Riley, over a year ago with their idea. As the ED here and as a public historian and as somebody who worked on the curatorial side of this exhibit, I was, of course, intimately familiar with the 1960 fire aboard the Constellation, and what a profound day that was. It's a dark day in the collective memory of longtime Brooklynites, part of a dark week that also coincided with the Park Slope plane crash, and it's sort of a darker part of our Yard story here as the movement towards Yard closure was imminent. I had also had the recent opportunity to work with some of the members of the joint Navy Yard engineering program as they celebrated their 50-year anniversary with us at the Yard last year. Sheldon and I think some members are here today. So these gentlemen had been so gracious as to share oral histories with us of their experiences at the Yard, which included being here on that fateful day. So I knew all of this, but what I didn't know was about the existence and then disappearance of this memorial plaque that was aboard the Connie, and that deep meaning it had for so many who did serve aboard the ships over the 40 years of its illustrious career. So when Marty and Phil told me about their idea of commissioning a commemorative plaque, they were very passionate about the idea of the plaque coming home to the Yard and having a permanent and prominent place here. The problem was we weren't sure where it should go. So while in some ways it made sense for it to be out towards Dry Dock 5 and 6, where the boat had been, that didn't make sense because we're a private industrial park, and they ultimately wanted veterans and families and visitors to really see it. We thought about having it someplace inside the museum, but there wasn't the right place, and nor could I really guarantee the permanence of that. I don't remember when we decided about the tribute wall, but it really was that eureka moment, and I can't think of a better place. Really, to kind of echo what David had said, the forecourt and Building 92 here, we are the gateway to the Yard, and this wall really is the reason we have any of this here. On this wall, we honor the men and women who served their country and who worked at the Yard when it was America's premier naval shipbuilding facility and who work at the Yard today. We also have tribute wall members with us today. We have some new, and the tribute wall members are all part of the Yard story and part of our Yard family. And with the unveiling of this plaque today, all of you join that family as well. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Galen Rushing, your association president.
Thank you, Eileen. I hope you can all hear me. Can you hear me in the back? Good. I don't normally talk this loud, but I am deaf, so I'm used to it. Thank you, Eileen, for the introduction, David and Paul. Wonderful song. We all knew the words. I like that. Before we get started, I was going to present something to the Navy Yard, and thank you all so much for keeping the tradition alive and working here. We've got a rare picture of the USS Constellation leaving the shipyard in 1961 and going underneath the Manhattan Bridge. We had to lean the tower over to clear the bridge. And we just happened to have a picture Rich brought to us this morning. And we're going to donate it to this museum. We're going to have a copy of it in our museum in Corpus Christi Bay. And this is the Connie leaving New York in 1961. Was this before sea trials or after? That was when we went to sea trials. Okay, so Rich thinks this is him. We're pretty sure it is. Or Marty, Rich. There you go, and Richie. So, okay, so David, please come forward. David, President and CEO of the shipyard. We present this to the museum with great gratitude. Thank you. There's so many people to thank for this day that we have today. I really don't know where to start, but I want to be sure that we thank all the people involved with the shipyard. Also, the NYPD Navy Association, Phil Tambasco and the Chief Tom are here. And there's a lot of members here that are members of our association, United States Constellation Association, CVA, CV 64, long name. I would ask you to stand up, be recognized, but you're already up. So, be recognized. Thank you. All right, I'm going to start my little speech. You know who I am, but I wanted you to know that I'm also, and there are others in the crowd, that are plank owners of the Constellation, which meant we went out on the original cruise, the Seaworthiness Cruise. And that's a very, very high honor. When you're 19 years old and you got a cigarette in both ears, you don't think much about that. However, as we've matured, it means a lot more to us today than it did then. So, here we go. You ask why we're here today. Well, we're here to celebrate the lives of the Brooklyn Navy shipyard family members that were lost while working on board the Constellation. The Constellation evolved to be part of America's great history. We protected our beloved freedoms we all hold so dear to our hearts, and rest assured that your shipboard family members had never been forgotten, and our wish is to honor and remember them this day and forevermore. The keel for Connie was laid in 1957 in this shipyard. Just before her completion in December the 19th, 1960, there was a tragic accident. A fire broke out on board, and although many workers escaped the fire, unfortunately 50 did not and perished. And that's who we're here to remember today. It took several months to rebuild the ship. She was commissioned on October the 27th, 1961. That's a testament to the tenacity, grit, and spirit of the men working in this shipyard. A commemorative bronze plaque memorializing their names was donated by the Navy League. That original plaque was mounted on the hangar deck of the USS Constellation and sailed on that ship for 42 years. Unfortunately, that plaque disappeared about the time the ship was decommissioned in 2003. After several years of unsuccessful investigations, the original plaque was deemed lost. But the spirit of the plaque and its recipients' memories live on. Something good arose from this unfortunate accident. Safety rules were updated to forbid use of wooden scaffolding in future shipbuilding. The USS Constellation's motto was "Spirit of the Old, Pride of the New." serving in numerous conflicts around the world, and the first being the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. I think everyone's old enough to remember that. So after Cuba, her home port was changed from Jacksonville, Florida to San Diego, California. She was way too large to go through the Panama Canal, so she sailed around the tip of South America's Cape Horn, making many stops in the progress, where she and her crew became great ambassadors for America's Navy. She hosted 3 presidential visits. Lyndon Baines Johnson, Richard Milhous Nixon, and Ronald Wilson Reagan, who proclaimed her to be America's flagship. Her maiden cruise was 1961 to 1962. She made many cruises to the Far East, known as Westpac, and to the Middle East, known as Westpac and Arabian Sea cruises. Her 21st and final cruise returned to San Diego in 2003, where she was decommissioned after 42 years of faithful service. You and your families and our Navy families were privileged to witness the achievements made by our beloved ship. What a legacy! USS Constellation went on to become one of the most decorated and valued aircraft carriers of her time. She received at least 16 awards, citations, campaign ribbons, and medals, such as the Presidential Unit Citation, Navy Unit Citation, Meritorious Unit Commendation, Secretary of the Navy Letter of Commendation, Navy E Designation, Navy Expeditionary Service Medal, Navy Defense Service Medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Southeast Asia Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, Republic of Vietnam Unit Citation, and the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal. And I'm sure there may be many more awards that I have failed to mention. In conclusion, in 2003, it was a difficult year for members of the USS Constellation Association. Our beloved ship had been removed from service, and our treasured bronze plaque was also adrift. So how can we turn this negative issue into a positive issue? Well, 3 compassionate men of the USS Constellation Association who are in attendance today, Phil Tambasco, Marty Horwitz, and Rich Romeo, knew the importance of replacing this plaque. So they got to work diligently and hard to come up with a plan and presented it to the association's executive board and general membership during our 2015 annual reunion in Washington, D.C. The plan, of course passed by unanimous vote, was to fund and recreate a new plaque and gift it to the Brooklyn Navy Yard. That's what we plan to do today. It memorialized the shipyard workers' names with a new permanently installed plaque as a reminder of the lost lives on that fateful day. From this day forward, all families will have a place to visit and perpetuate their memories. Thank you, USS Constellation members, for remembering to do this. I thank you all for being here and for this important occasion and for your attention. Thank you to the Building 92 Committee, especially Eileen Schumard, Executive Director of Programs and Exhibits, John Coburn, Vice President and Lead Architect, Andrew Gustafson, Vice President, Turnstile Tours, Cindy Vanderbosch, President, Turnstile Tours, Marie Noxon, External Affairs, and Adrienne Murray, Manager, Visitor Services. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak today. And gentlemen, if you'll step up by the plaque. Okay. We now take great pleasure in presenting to this great shipyard your new plaque, and I bid you fair winds and smooth seas, and may God continue to bless and keep America strong.
Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone's going to want to come see the plaque. Just a couple little notes for the rest of your day. We'll be serving lunch on the 4th floor, and then we've invited all the association members and our special guests to take tours of the yard today. And then if you are on the later tour, or if you come back from the earlier tour, I invite you to check out our exhibits on the 3rd floor. And on the 3rd floor, we have a special installation for you guys. I've pulled some archival material of the Constellation, and there's another really exciting artifact for you guys to see up there, which I'll let you guys be surprised. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you,
job.
Galen. That was a wonderful speech.
Oh, thank you.
you.